Hello, everyone. My name is John Herrera. My project's title is Society's Influence on Perception of Addicts. Introduction. In the year 2000, individuals with substance use disorders made up 70% of the population in the world. Farcow et al. 2025. The subject of the stigmatization of drug users is important because we must look at an attempt to stop this injustice, and allow them to better themselves and improve their situation. According to the Deviance textbook, with certain other drugs, users lose control, stop tending to their normal workload, unless they are less usually they are less attentive to school and family. Then they become less like normal, contributing people in our society. Good, 2022. Those who are addicted to illegal drugs are going against the social norm. According to the Good's definition, this behavior would be considered deviant. Good, 2022. All of these individuals make the initial choice to try drugs. Most are led on a downward spiral that is out of their control. According to society, these individuals are labeled as weak and lacking willpower. According society shuns them, making it difficult for these individuals to live within its limits without being stigmatized. So I ask the question: how do societal attitudes towards addiction influence the perception of addicts as deviant? Literature review. Adult populations report a desire for avoidance and social distance from individuals who overuse drugs. Adlaf et al. 2009. This can be due to the acceptance of stigmatization towards drug users and the policy guidelines that equate these individuals as deviant. Adlaf et al. 2009. This poor outlook on addicts can lead society to believe that being addicted means a lack of willpower. Ray et al. 2019. People or language that stigmatizes individuals with substance use disorders can cause people to believe they are dangerous and promotes a negative connotation towards the term person with SUD, substance use disorder. Farcow et al. 2025. Sometimes stigma towards those who are getting sober gives way to consequences that are negative, such as behavior that is dangerous, and even going back to the drug they had left behind. Dang et al. 2020. Research method. For my research method, I use qualitative one-on-one interview method. Three interviews by phone, one in person. This method is the best because it allows me to hear intricate details of how the two addicts feel about how society typecasts them as deviant, and allows me to hear about their experiences they must tolerate as society villainizes them. I interviewed two former addicts and two individuals who have never used drugs to see both sides of stigma. I previously believed the former addicts would have felt discouraged by their stigmatization and would not want to seek help because of the prejudices they faced. I also believe that two participants who never did drugs would have terrible things to say about those who use drugs because of all they heard in the media and from what they were fed as the truth by society. I was wrong about I was wrong about both perceived preconceived notions. The former I was wrong about both preconceived notions. The former drug users were motivated to get sober by the hostility they received from naysayers. The two participants who never used drugs proved me wrong by having empathy for those who use drugs, since they both had addicts in their families. The one problem I had in my research method was that since two of the participants were from my family, I was hesitant to ask certain questions about drug use, since I am close to these participants and didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. If I were to complete the study again, I would use participants with whom I didn't have a relationship to avoid influencing their answers. Data analysis. In my research, I found that in society, stigma isn't as common as you would think because many individuals have family members, friends, or acquaintances who struggle with addiction. So they empathize instead of giving into prejudice. Also, I learned that many individuals who use drugs are not sidetracked by what society thinks of them and instead use the hatred as motivation to better themselves. Although prejudices don't always deter addicts from getting sober. I learned from my two participants that the stigmatization lowers their self-esteem, sometimes to the point of depression. One participant claimed that 90% of the portrayals of addicts in the media were negative, and only a handful of characters in shows on TV and movies had positive outcomes. These negative portrayals left both of my participants, who were ex addicts, feeling hopeless. And when asked about how they felt after watching negative portrayals in the media, one participant said, "Grim. The media is a tool that can be used for good or bad. Instead of negatively influencing how the public sees addicts, the media should display stories of triumph and individuals getting sober." Conclusion. In conclusion, the stigmatization of individuals who are addicts or those who are ex-addicts does affect the perception of how the public sees them, but many use this as a motivation to better themselves, get sober, and prove them wrong. Also, not all people are quick to negatively perceive addicts as deviant because they have people in their family or friends who have had their battles with drugs, so they empathize instead of stigmatizing these individuals. We are all God's people, and we should not treat individuals who are addicts as if they have an incurable disease, as citizens in biblical times would treat those with leprosy. We should welcome them into our lives as Christ did, and give them the hope to get the help they need and better their lives. Biblical perspective: do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. This judgment or stigmatization people have this judgment or stigmatization that people have towards those with drug addiction goes against the principles of the Bible. And if we judge those individuals, we will be judged in a similar way. The stigmatization reminds me of how lepers were treated in the time of Jesus. They were viewed as second class citizens and were often avoided. Jesus did the opposite. He would go to them and come to their aid. We should learn from Christ's example and strive to befriend them, helping them feel seen. Then maybe they will have the motivation to get clean and better their lives. References: Adloff, E.M., Hamilton, H.A., Wu, F., and No, S. 2009. Adolescent Stigma Toward Drug Addiction, Effects of Age and Drug Use Behavior, Addictive Behaviors. Dang, Q, Who, M, U, F, Lu, Q, How, Who, W, Q, and Lu. 2020. Community-based investigation of stigma toward individuals receiving methadone maintenance treatment in China. A randomized case vignette study, Frontiers in Psychiatry. Farcow, E.K., Beatty, K. Fox, A.B. Kelly, J.F., Niederdep, J. and Zhang. W. 2025. Use of stigmatizing language related to substance use disorders in media. Systematic review. Drug and alcohol dependence, 276, 1 through 11. Good, E. 2022. Deviant Behavior, 13th edition, Taylor and Francis. Holy Bible, New International Version, 1984. Ray C. N. Curdy, A. N. Badger, G. J. Cohen, A. H. and Hill, S. H. 2019. Stigma, Discrimination, Treatment, Effectiveness, and Policy Support. Comparing behavior analysis views on drug addiction and mental illness, behavior analysis and practice. That was my presentation. I hope you liked it.